Hello everyone and welcome to Blue Bio Value Acceleration Pre-Final Pitch 2023 edition. I'm Marta Costa from MAIS, Program Manager of Blue Bio Value Acceleration. Blue Bio Value was founded back in 2018 by Carlos Gulbenkian Foundation and Oceano Azul Foundation. Now, Blue Bio Value is implemented by MAIS and Blue Bio Alliance and has accelerated a total of 96 startups in its last 6 editions. Nowadays, the program is implemented by MAIS and has a 10-week acceleration program, equity-free, dedicated to bringing ocean-based sustainable solutions to a new blue bioeconomy. In the 6th edition, 19 startups from 14 different countries were selected from a total of 105 applications. They have been accelerated for 7 weeks online and have joined us in Lisbon, in Portugal, for these 3 final last weeks. I'd like to thank everyone at the audience at home for joining us today. Today, the 18 startups will pitch for 3 minutes their businesses and will have 4 minutes to answer questions from the jury. The jury is composed by 6 members with key roles in the Portuguese blue economy. Nuno Arantes Oliveira from Nova School of Business and Economics as president of the jury, Luisa Hooper from Carlos Gulbenkian Foundation, Maria Moreira Feio from Oceano Azul Foundation, Joana Branco from biotech, João Rito from Blue Bio Alliance, and João Silva Rodrigues from SGS. Thank you all for joining us. After hearing all the pitches, the jury will deliberate and decide on the 10 selected startups to join the final pitch event tomorrow in person in Lisbon. The criteria of selection is based on potential for growth, potential for positive impact creation, team credibility, potential to benefit from the prize, and progress and participation during the program. The 10 startups pitching tomorrow will be considered for the final prize of 45,000 euros to be spent in the Blue Demo Network. Should we get started on the pitches? Let's start with the first category, bioindustry. I'd like to welcome on stage Astart from Blue Blocks, based in the Netherlands.
Good morning, I am Astarte from Blue Blocks. We are proof that we can change the way we shape our world by using new materials, combining technology with nature. At Blue Blocks, we believe that if we can create systems with waste, we can also redesign them without. And nature does not produce waste. The building sector, however, is one of the most polluting systems we know, responsible for 38% of global CO2 emissions. And the sector is facing a triple challenge. We all need homes to live in and offices to work, but most of the materials we use contain toxic elements. They cannot be recycled and end up in landfills or are being burned. So what if we build with natural resources that are abundantly available and grow easily? And nature is wonderful, so it has given us seaweed. And this brilliant organism absorbs CO2, does not need fresh water or pesticides to grow, and it helps against the acidification of the oceans while restoring marine ecosystems. By means of a low-energy, non-toxic and scalable process, we produce a board material made from seaweed and land waste fibers, without adding any glues or binders. The beauty of our product is that it gives us the opportunity to build with new materials to create healthy homes and healthy offices. In the last 2 years, we have showcased our product in several commercial pilots, and this has given us the opportunity to further enhance the technical properties and do market research. And this has brought us to a TRL of 7 to 8. But most importantly, it has created traction from the market, from big brands and wholesalers. So we are ready to scale up. In 2024, we will build our first pilot production facility where we will produce 20,000 square meters of our seaweed veneer, meant for the interior design market. This will generate enough revenue for us to further enhance and upscale towards making significant impact with our interior wallboards. The BBV program has given us a really good insight into the Portuguese blue ecosystem and the opportunities it has to offer, both with regards to feedstock and technical research centers. We have already teamed up with 2 other startups from the cohort, and we are looking into applying for a grant where we are planning to build a strong value chain so we can start producing beautiful products from Portuguese origin. With our super motivated and highly skilled team with a strong background in operations, engineering and entrepreneurial strategies, we are convinced that we can decarbonize our systems and build on a bright blue future for you and the planet. Thank you.
As President. Thank you very much. Great job. 2 quick questions. Can you tell us, or do you have any notion of how the price of the material will compare to what it replaces? Question 1. Question 2, do you have any notion, have there been any tests pertaining to durability, long-term durability of the material?
Yeah. Um, we have done technical tests and aging tests as well. It is really hard to predict how long exactly it's gonna last in a building environment. But so far, all the pilot tests we have done show that the material holds very stable. So that's the good news. And with regards to the market, our strategy is that we first start for the interior design market because the margins there are higher, and there we can compete already on price. And then by upscaling our process and upscaling our production, we are also able to lower the price towards the prices we need to have for interior wallboards.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering where the seaweed that you are using now comes, and if the origin of that seaweed is able for you to scale the business.
Yeah. So we have a couple of Dutch suppliers that we are now getting our seaweed from. We are also working together with other industries in the seaweed sector to get their residuals. And we are very much interested in looking into the blooms that are going on all around the world, because that is a very good feedstock for us to use, especially because that is not suitable for consumption.
I just wanted to expand a bit on the material and know a bit more on what makes your products, so what's your value proposition? What was the technology advance that you brought that enable you to do it in such a green way without glues, added material?
Yeah, so
the things you can disclose of.
Exactly, yeah. Our technology is patent pending, so I cannot give too much information on that. But we use the entire organism. So we are not creating any waste with our product. So we just use the organism, and we use quite a large portion of land waste fibers. And those streams are abundantly available. For example, in Holland, we are carrying out tests with tomato residue fibers, and that's 60 million kilos of tomato fibers each year that are now being composted in the best case and otherwise burnt. And for us, it's a really good feedstock.
And just regarding your team, why do you think you're the best positioned to conquer this market?
Because of our skills. We all have a very specific, different background. Marianne is an industrial design engineer by origin and has taught biotech. And for me, I have worked in operations for a really long time in the oil and gas sector, I'm afraid to say, but I've got a lot of operational background. So we believe that this combination of skills is, gives us the opportunity to really expand our business.
Thank you, Astart. Let's now welcome on stage Felipe from Grisea, based in Brazil.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Felipe Teixeira, and I'm the founder and CEO of Grisea. And Grisea is the only South American startup producing seaweed-based bioplastics. So I'm Brazilian, and only last year, each person in Brazil wasted 64 kilos of plastics. That means that the entire Brazilian population wasted almost 14 million tons of plastics. But I really don't want to start my pitch by saying that. First, because you already know that plastic is a problem. I don't have to tell you that. But also because you must know that here in Europe, things are much, much worse than that. So I will start my pitch by saying that Brazil has a very beautiful and very long coastline where we can find many different species of seaweed. But the main species we cultivate there is Capaficus alvarezi. And Capaficus is cultivated in Brazil in order to get the liquid extract that is used as an ingredient for the production of biofertilizers. But it also generates a lot of solid residues that are rich in fibers and polymers, and we can actually use it to produce bioplastics. so that we can change the plastic value chain from this, that relies a lot on petroleum extraction, to this, that you have to agree with me, it looks much more beautiful, but also much more circular. And we actually extract the polymers from seaweed. But the only reason we even make our bioplastics is to meet the needs and demands of our clients. For example, on one hand, we have the plastic transformation industry that want sustainable and scalable drop-in solutions. And on the other hand, we have the eco-conscious brands that want sustainable solutions as well to differentiate themselves in the market. And we have exactly what they need. For example, we have the seaweed pellets that can be transformed via extrusion or injection molding, and we also have our bioplastics that are not only biodegradable, but they also don't have any fossil fuels in their formulation. We even have many other developments in different stages of development in our startup, ranging from, for example, flexible films, 3D printed materials, biocomposites, and biopackaging. And we have a very strong team that is aligned into taking all of these developments to the market, always remembering to respect and protect nature. We have proven readiness and scalability of our bioplastic. We have raised more than 100,000 euros in grants and pre-seed investment. We have reached industry scale production, and we have validated our products with industry experts. What we need right now is access to the prize so that we can access the Blue Demo network and actually expand to Europe and go global. And we are also raising a seed round of 1 million euros so that we can invest in infrastructure, talent acquisition, marketing, sales, expanding our supply chain, and registering our IP. So join us in leading the next wave of bioplastics. Thank you very much.
I have the mic, so I'll start. Just can you expand a bit on the pilot you've done with industrial partners? What was the product being tested, and what was the conclusion?
So there in Brazil, we have to get a little creative on the partnerships. So we have partners in the industry where we produce and test the production of our seaweed pellets, because that's a big challenge to produce. So we have partners there where we have validated the production in a large scale of our seaweed pellets. But also, as we are going to use these pellets to produce biopackaging, for example, we have also partnered up with other industry partners that can actually test the production via injection molding, for example, of packaging, and validate our products too.
So your first application will be on packaging?
Yes.
Any specific motive for that?
There is, of course. So 50% of the demand for bioplastic is actually on the packaging sector. You have also demand on the consumer goods, agriculture, the textile industry as well. But packaging industry is 50% of the demand. So it's a larger market, and that's why we are aiming that market, yes.
Can you tell us more about what happens upstream in the seaweed extraction? Who controls that? How much does it cost? What do you need? What resources and so on?
Yeah, so right now we are focusing a lot because of the availability on Capaficus alvarezi. So there in Brazil, we have many farmers of Capaficus, so we want to use farmed seaweed so that we don't have a bigger impact on the environment. And these farmers, they sell this seaweed mainly to the producers of the fertilizers. So then they generate a lot of solid residues, and they usually just take them to landfills. And then
you go to the farmers, not the producers of the...
No, so I mean, it's much smarter for us just to go to the producers of the biofertilizers so that we can centralize the sourcing of our residues that we use for the production of the bioplastics. So that, of course, we can use the whole biomass as well, and then we buy from the farmers. But for us, the logistics makes more sense if you just buy from the...
But can you just tell us something about those producers? Are they spread around? Is it thousands of producers? Do you have a couple that
So
work
in
with?
Brazil right now, we have around 5,000 tons of capaficus being produced every year. It is growing because the demand is growing there. We don't want to stop on capaficus because that would not be a very smart decision. We are also testing the production with other sources of biomass, of seaweed biomass, and also the polymers, the purified polymers. But there in Brazil, we have 5,000 tons right now being produced, and most of it's going to the biofertilizer, and we really want to grow alongside so that it is a win-win situation. We grow and they also grow.
Thank you. Can you tell us what distinguishes you from other entities that are producing biopolymers from algae?
Yeah, so I mean, I told you that I am the only one in South America, but of course you may know many others. Even in this acceleration, we had Bezeus and Flexi in the past. But I think what distinguishes us is that, I mean, I have two main things that I think that are our advantages. In one hand, we are the only ones in South America, so we are really able to reach that market in a much bigger, in a much faster way than companies that are, for example, here in Europe. But we are also using their residues to produce our bioplastics so that we don't compete with other industries to the obtaining of this biomass. And because of that, I think that we are also in a position of advantage, yes. Thank you very much.
Let's now welcome Anne from Zephyr, based in the Netherlands.
Oops. Are you aware that the textile industry is responsible for nearly 10% of the carbon emissions? We at Zephyr are addressing that issue because, oh, that's not Chrissy, I'm sorry. Because the fast fashion industry is there, and next to that we have a world which is growing and growing, and that means that we are buying more textiles every day. So we need a solution for that. And next to that, a lot of lawmakers are working on that issue because the textile industry needs to transform by 2030. Welcome. My name is Anne. I'm the business founder of Zephyr, and I offer you a textile dye, which is an industrial textile dye made of 100% seaweed. We get the seaweed from the farmers. We get the seaweed from the blooms, like here in Portugal, and thanks to the BBV program, we met with Easy Harvest, and they have beautiful blooms. And we also use the seaweed from the industry, from the waste streams, like cosmetics, which we use daily. And with that, we bring a textile dye, which is a non-degradable and a non-toxic solution. And it's also a dye which is a plug-and-play system for the dye houses. We have, of course, we have a recipe, which is tested and tested and tested. And we have an intellectual property, which is, will be finalized by the end of the year. We tested our dyes, and it's meeting the industry standards, and it's ready to market. And for that market, we have a lot of combinations, because as you know, as you're sitting here, we all are wearing different kinds of fabrics, like cotton, linen maybe, and some silk. So we can dye on all those kinds, with all kinds of seaweeds, but we focus on the brown ones. And then you get examples, like this one, and the coat and the rug. Because we need to address a really large market. And for that market, we need a lot of dyes to transform that one. So we are working with some front-runner brands, making pilots for capsule collections for them, so we can enter the market. Because there is competition. And that competition is mostly plant-based and in fashion. And that's why our focus is on the premium market in Europe. The interior premium market. And I can't do that alone. I'm fortunate that I have a fantastic team. And yeah, we are all having our own expertise, but we are a female-owned company. And we have a roadmap, because we have 24 months. We want to change some things in 24 months, like TRL and legal, and we want to sign more clients. And that's also why we need some investments and a little help of the BBV program to go to the lab. And then we can bring our colors to Portugal. And those colors are in balance with nature, they're in trend, and they're also commercial. Thanks for your attention.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering if you did tests with some brands and what was the feedback?
Yeah, we did tests with lots of brands, I can tell you. What we see is that brands are also, they need to change towards natural dyes. So that means within the process that we see that there are a lot of things they need to change, like, for instance, their materials where you are dyeing on. But I think your question really goes to what are the results regarding the light fastness. Is that correct? Yeah, I was one, because mostly that's the question. Our light fastness is not like other natural dyes because mostly it's really low on, like, for instance, onions. But with us, we're really meeting the standards. So you have the 1 to 8 because you also have the 1 to 5. And the 1 to 8 mostly with natural dyes it's a 3 or a 4. And we are having a 4 and a 5. And yeah.
Have you tested in terms of durability on the color? Does it fade away with cleaning or washes?
No, that's why we did the color fastness testings in the labs. And yeah, otherwise we can't make a capsule collection when the color fades away, because no client wants to buy a chair when the color goes off. Yeah.
Just wanted to know a bit more about price point. I don't know if you have already an idea on that, just because it's quite a sensitive industry on that side. Not on the premium that you want to go, but
you're completely right. You can't have a product without price, and you can't change an industry without price. But we have two kinds of price. We have the price of our nature. That's also why we started the company. And you have the price for customers to buy it. And when we start with those capsule collections, the price is of course higher because we are producing in low quantities. But that's also why we are asking, and we are in need of some investments, because we really want to speed up our upscaling, because then our price, when we have a higher volume, our price is going down.
and comparing to the current dyes on
To the natural dyes, we can't compete in the near future with synthetic dyes. But that, I think it's a given. You never know within 10 years when you have really high volumes, because that's really what we want to address, because we really want to change the market. What I was addressing as well, we really want to have at least 5% of that pie of the natural dye industry. But yeah, then price will be an issue. Yeah, you're right.
And thank you, very nice. You mentioned intellectual property, and from your words, I gather that you're going to be filing a patent application by the end of the year. So I was wondering, why wait if you're already doing it? Is it? But the more important question is, does that matter? I mean, can you really protect this from others doing the same, and how?
Well, our attorney learned also things, because that's something which is I was not an expert in before. So his advice was always put your recipe in a locker. Only 2 people in our company know the recipe, and that's always, I feel a bit bad that he's my employee, she's not allowed to know that one, but it's something we learned. And we decided to do the intellectual property because it's better to have it, and that's because then you are a little bit
Filing
safe.
a patent is the opposite of putting it in a locker, right?
No, that depends what you put in the patent, and that's why also the patent writing with the attorney is quite a long road, and that's also why it's now almost finished. And but we started already, in the beginning of this year, and it's really a long road to write a good patent. Yeah, and you can, this is the first patent which we're going to file. Of course, you can have several. Yeah.
Let's now welcome Benjamin from Salaga, based in Germany.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. I am the CEO and the co-founder of Solaga. We are a Berlin-based company. And the world today is facing a lot of problems like CO2 emissions, but also environmental problems such as air pollution. We know that we can't solve these problems just by using machine technology such as digitization and AI. We need a nature-based technology. So we need biofiltration and bioconversion in order to bring to rescue our planet. So we are producing products that we can recycle and can reuse again. How do we do this? So as you might know, we can use plants, of course, but then we are competing with the food industry, and therefore it's difficult, and also plants, as you might know, need a lot of maintenance. We can use algae. That's a really smart idea because we can grow them everywhere, but we we need a lot of manpower, energy and water to let them grow. Our idea is based on algae biofilms. What's that? These biofilms are a specific structure where the algae grow on a mat and are really stable for years. And we have no biofouling. We have less energy because we don't have to stir the algae. We need less water because the water is saved in the exopolysaccharide layer of the biofilm. And these products are stable for years. We have 3 products basically, 2 for the indoor biofiltration and 1 industrial product I will talk about later. The algae frame is used inside buildings, inside small rooms to clean the air. It consists of a rotating algae platform where the algae grow on, and after 6 months you can replace them by just repainting the algae. And similar works the algae wall. It's taking up pollutants from the passing air, and it's also producing oxygen. It's regulating the humidity and the temperature inside rooms, and it's saving money because you can downregulate your AC. The market for biofiltration is big, it's growing until 5 billion in the next years. Our competitors are less sustainable and need more maintenance to use their products. But we don't stop here. We also have an industrial application using a patented bioreactor system where we just harvest organic acids that we can use for several applications, such as nylon 66, which can be used for textiles production. We have a grant pending right now together with industrial partners. We have a good team with biotechnologists and managers, and have also already some big players as customers. Thank you for the attention. We are looking forward to get to know partners and investors in Portugal.
Before we jump on questions, let's make sure you use the microphone so they can hear you at home.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Have you tested any the impact on the microbial content on the air of the rooms using the filters?
Yes, we did some measurements together with the German Research Institute, and we showed that there's an impact. So basically for the frame, it's quite small. It's more for apartments, small rooms, like 15 square meters. But for the algae wall, you can use it for 30 to 40 square meters already. So we have done some research on that. We have a lot of bachelor thesis, master thesis done at the university, but the most important one is together with the Fraunhofer Institute from Germany.
Okay, and what's the impact? Because you also have a source of humidity in the room, so I'm sure that is going to affect on the microbial contact, right?
That's a good thing about natural systems. They're basically balancing the ecosystem. So when you don't have too much humidity, it will not go more. So it's just a balanced system. And that's a good thing. In Germany, you have a big problem inside new buildings. They are really, really dry. You can't open any window because you don't want to lose energy. So really improve the microclimate inside. You balance the humidity to a level that is good for people, and also the temperature. So it's not heating up when it's already 30 degrees. It's down regulating, or when it's cold, it's up regulating. So it's balancing the whole microclimate.
Bit going on that, in terms of, you probably mentioned about in terms of durability of how many times do I have to swap that panel, And also, if you can expand a bit, what stops others from start doing biofilms? What was your innovation on that side that is so unique?
Yeah, we are basically the only company in the world dealing with biofilms. Normally, they are hated by many people, like on the, I don't know, in the pool or something. We are using them. We have the knowledge about how to grow them. It took some time to develop that, and we need to replace. Of course, it's a living organism, so you have to exchange it from time to time. So basically, after 6 months, you have to repaint the algae because they are gone, they are yellowish. So you have to make we are selling our customers the paint, and they can do it by themselves, or we are coming and doing that as a service. So that's what you have to do.
Thank you. Could you say a little bit more about the demand for this product?
Yeah, so from our side, we have quite a lot of big players coming to us. We have some standing already in Germany. So we have right now rented 2 Albers to Tesla, for example. We sold pieces to Zalando, the German Amazon, and also have 1 wall standing at Vodafone, for example. So we get mostly from big companies, we get some demand, and also from the private sector, they are really interested to having some natural system in their room. They really love to have something living next to them, and they really care for it and are really sad when it's gone. That's all I can say.
Thank you. What about the price for particular customers, like houses, homes of people? Because and also I guess there's a relation on the amount of area that you have to input in a specific place. Do you have that relation already defined? Can you suggest to customers what would be the area that they have to have in their own room, and what would be the price of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, the small frame is more for small rooms, like apartments. We sold it, for example, to hotels, and the price is 299 for the frame. So it's quite, I think, not too much when you compare, for example, with our competitors. And the big wall is more expensive; it's 1,500 around.
What about the repainting?
That's
do
quite.
they have to pay the same, or yeah?
It's quite
After
cheap.
6
So
months? Okay.
basically, we sell this repaint for 60 euros.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So next we'll have Luis from MOLG based in Costa Rica.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Barbosa. I am CEO and co-founder of Himoalgae. When I say Costa Rica, maybe you imagine the volcanoes, the beach, or the wildlife. But my reality is different because Costa Rica is the country that uses the most pesticide in the world. The best example is the glyphosate. That molecule has a lot of problems. For example, has a lot of resistance, risk of cancellation, and the market has no substitute until now. Right? Let me introduce Himoalgae. We have a natural molecule with better performance at similar price. If we compare both products, you can see that our product is better because it's natural and we can kill the resistant weeds in the field. For example, in the in vitro test, you can see that our product killed the weeds in the 2nd week, the glyphosate in the 3rd week. We have the same results in the garden greenhouse test. Obviously, I had to test this in my garden, this product in my garden in Costa Rica. We have the same results, and we have the results in the field test, in the large field test. The market for that molecule is so big, but only in Central America, our market is around $30 million. We have a different competitive advantage. Right now, if we produce that molecule in Costa Rica in a tropical country, we reduce the cost because the environment conditions, and our system at the same time captures CO2. We have amazing team with 50 years experience in building business in Costa Rica. We have the best engineers in the laboratory team, and we have strategy partners around the world. I have partners in Costa Rica, Blue Bio here in Portugal, and in the Almeria, Spain, the university in the Almeria, Spain. We have different milestones. The main milestone right now is the positive field test, and this is our roadmap. And with the Blue Bio Value help, we can do the next steps. We are looking for $1 million for the IP protection, for the Stalder regional sales, and the registration of our product. This is the financial projection with only 3 clients in Costa Rica. We have the LOIs to start the sales in around 90 countries right now. With your help, we can reduce the use of pesticide around the world. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, Luis.
Hi.
Thank you very much. Good job. So you made a good case for why this is necessary in Costa Rica. Can you make an equal case for why this is necessary in larger markets and will substitute what's there?
Maybe in the November 16, the Europe firm think to continue to use the glyphosate here in Europe. This is a big mistake, I think, because the glyphosate has a lot of problems, but the main problem is that the market has no a substitute. This is a big problem around the world. For that reason, the market has no alternative for that herbicide. For that reason, that problem it's in worldwide. For example, the market for only in Portugal for the glyphosate is around $90 million per year. In that case, they can remove or substitute the glyphosate here for another alternative, a natural alternative is better.
So why didn't you go straight to big customers in large markets and are focusing so much, apparently, on Costa Rica?
Well, we have the LOIs for the big companies in the coffee sector is the most the main sector in Costa Rica to export the coffee to here Europe. They can't export the coffee to Europe if they use glyphosate in the farmers use glyphosate. It's a big problem right now. You can use here in Europe, but you can import crops if the farmers use glyphosate in the process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. One is you showed us the efficacy on, I'm assuming, one application of the product. As compared to the glyphosate, how often do you have to apply the product to get the same results? And also, if you have explored the impact of the application of your product on the soil, especially if you're taking into consideration, for example, you just mentioned coffee, probably you'll have impact on the growth of your product also.
Yeah. Well, we start with the last question. We have the results right now for the soils. It's running right now the test for the soils. The previous results say that we don't have problems in the soil because that molecule is natural and degrade in 1 day, in 2 days in the soil. We lost the molecule because the microorganisms use that molecule like food. In that case, in the first question was
in terms of how long does it last, the effect on the application?
We have the very similar time. The glyphosate has the performance maybe 2 months, and we keep the results 2.5 months, 3 months, but that test is running right now. Yeah.
And also, so you're assuming that there's no impact and there's no residues on the coffee as well.
Yeah.
Are you have you tested anything on that?
Yeah, we have the results for that test, and we can assume that because we know how is the molecule, and we know it's a chemical, technical things, but we know how that molecule, we lost the molecule in the environment and how the microorganism use that molecule to like food, and it's not dangerous for the human and all the things. But it's a technical issue, but yeah. Thank you.
Let's now welcome on stage Tasha from 7 Leagues Leather, based in Canada.
That's not my slide deck. Hello, I'm Tasha Nathanson. I come from beautiful, natural British Columbia, Canada. We make bio-based fish leather. This is an audacious material, and therefore it is backed by some very audacious goals. In a world of problems, we have solutions and the market to pay for them. We're removing plastics, toxins, and forever chemicals from leather production. We're adding value, diverting waste, and increasing incomes in fishing communities. We are working close to the skin source, which allows us to teach a workforce to close the loop on waste. Our impact is measurable and achievable. We provide ESG solutions for fashion brands as well as for fish processors. You may not have heard of fish leather yet, but you will. It's an emerging next generation material. Fish leather is thin, flexible, durable. It has a high tensile strength and a beautiful scale pattern, which is why already there are some high-end brands and fashion consumers who are beginning to use it. Unlike other fish leather brands that are concentrating on local markets, we've developed a global distributed hub model for the business. This allows us to scale up in stages, increasing variety and volume over time while de-risking access to the skin source. Our brand promise is that no matter where our 7 Leagues leather is made, it will always reach the highest ethical and quality standards. We commissioned a market study that confirmed what we were seeing. This is a growth market with few competitors. It indicates a blue ocean go-to-market strategy. Our supply chain starts with local resources and leverages them to meet a global market. Our production plan is built on market demand. We expect to be producing about 260,000 skins per year by 2029. Our financial projections show that there is steady, sustainable, increasing finance. We should reach some profits and revenues by 2025, and by 2029, we estimate that we will be making about 2 million euros in pre-tax earnings. To open a fish leather tannery here in Portugal would cost about 720,000 euros for the startup costs, and we are considering opening a tannery here. In addition, we're looking for Portuguese partners in the garment and leather goods industries to partner on developing our goods and using our leather. We have a strong and diverse team, which even includes the person who ran the world's largest fish leather tannery for 30 years. Thank you for listening to this story of how we turn fish waste into high-end luxury leather. I look forward to your questions.
Let's welcome John to help answer the question.
This is my 7 Leagues Chief Financial Officer, and he will also be answering questions depending on the question.
So I can start. I just wanted to know a bit more if you can expand on what makes you so unique, so well positioned to navigate this blue ocean. What's in terms of team and also innovation technology? What makes you so well positioned?
Sure, I'll start with the technology question. And so, as you probably know, most leather today, about 85% of it is chrome tan. That's using chromium, that's toxic, that's cancer causing, and in my opinion, absolutely inexcusable. Veg tanning is an ancient technology. It takes a lot more skill to do veg tanning. And in addition, for fish leather, it's a little bit touchier, quite a bit touchier than doing mammal tanning. So it's a very specialized skill, and it's difficult to get into it quickly. So that's part of it. In addition, we're starting with the best fish leather tanning methodology now, but our company is built not on where the football is now, but where the pass is going. And we're anticipating the changes. We're watching the changes in regulations in leather tanning, and we're working to be ahead of those. And that actually leads into your question about the team. And I'll start with where that connection is, that we have recruited, he's not on the slide yet, but we have recruited someone who definitely has the right kind of training in problem solving, in sustainability, in emerging trends in leather technology, and he's agreed to join our team so that we start with that initial formula that comes from Iceland and we adapt it to where we are, but we're working on changing that and improving that. In addition, on the team, we have our Chief Financial Officer, who is a CPA, MBA, all the letters that reassure anyone who worries about money, and has quite a bit of experience in the financial sector, as well as myself. I come from a value-added agriculture background, and then other team members which even address particular Canadian issues such as Indigenous relations and sustainable design. So,
just a quick add to what you said, Tasha. The other thing is that we're very much focused on every part of the product being natural, so that includes looking at natural dyes, natural waterproof coatings, because in many markets you need waterproof leather. So those things are slow in the market, but there are opportunities in Portugal. There's research in Portugal that we're very much interested in capitalizing on to make sure that the product end-to-end is eco-friendly.
Thank you for your presentation. So when you are developing the product, you can use only fish scales to produce the leather, or do you need to add other natural products? For example, if you use just the fish, or if you need, for example, to add some from the cow leather?
No, it's just the fish leather. So the fabulous thing about fish skin is that I can't talk with my hands here. The underlying collagen structure is crisscross. So it gives it 9 times the tensile strength per thickness of mammal leather. It is super strong. It is much stronger per thickness than mammal leather. So if you want it to be more structural, you might want to line it with something if that's what you're looking for. But what it does allow is different applications as well, where you can use it thinner and use something that you couldn't have used cow leather for because it comes in at this thinner. So you can kind of do it either way. But in terms of developing the material, making the material, it's just fish. Well, and the tannins that we use to tan
it. What type of fish can you use for the leather production?
Many types of fish. We're starting with Pacific salmon, which again differentiates us from the other existing tanneries which use Atlantic salmon because most of them are in Europe. So we're starting with the 5 species of Pacific salmon, but you can also make leather out of other fish, and we are looking at, in our ecosystem, halibut, tuna, lingcod, and we had an absolutely exquisite visit to Peniche, to the fish processor there, and we're tantalized by the great variety of fish, and therefore the great variety of fish skin that you have, and we are extremely excited to develop those.
Yeah, that was one of my points, because you're saying that you're aiming to come to Portugal and be based here, to have a production plant over here. But most of the fish over here are not so big, the ones that we used to consume. So is that a problem to use smaller fish? Because I guess that the labor is much higher with the smaller fish instead of bigger fish, I would say so.
The smaller the animal, always the higher the labor, depending on what you're making. If you're making smaller goods, watch bands, whatever, it's less of an issue. We saw a lot of very large fish, actually, in the fish processor in Peniche, because they are landing fish not only from Portugal, but also from North Africa and Africa itself, and there was a pretty big variety there.
That was what I was going to say, because it's imported fish, yeah, most of it, yeah. But yeah, but we have a huge variety of fish species being landed over here, so it's definitely a great thing to be used. Obviously, take the chance of the co-products of the fishing industry and also the aquaculture industry. So the point is that if you're able to apply the same technique for all the fish species, because different fish species can be very, very much different than like a cow and a fish.
You have to adapt for each new species, but then once you've got the adaptation and you're going, each one has a different scale pocket pattern, so they're like different designs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The next category is human well-being, and I'd like to call on stage Jay from Biomare, based in the United Kingdom.
Hello, I'm Jay from Biomare, a seaweed biorefinery based in Scotland. Now I'm going to start today by introducing our team. This team has decades of industry and technical knowledge and expertise. What I see this team working on every day is to deliver natural products that we believe can solve the world's greatest challenges. Yes, of course, you're all aware of these challenges, these problems, but what you may not be aware of is that seaweed can be a positive lever for change. We firmly believe in our team that seaweed, ocean farmed at scale, can feed the world. It can clean the oceans, for example, removing 20,000 tons of nitrogen from the European waters alone. And it can deliver biomass for products through seaweed bioprocessing. But seaweed bioprocessing currently uses old technology, and there are many challenges to overcome to deliver a true seaweed biorefinery concept. This is where I can tell you today that our team of seaweed superstars have found the solution. We will build a first of its kind industrial scale biorefinery using innovative technologies that will be patented. The construction of our biorefinery will be an investment in new technology that with a high return. And it will also be a commitment to sustainability and impact through stimulating growth for ocean farmed seaweed by introducing high value products to market. Our product verticals we have 5 product verticals and 1 mainstream process. This process is optimized for our Phacoidin product range. Now, Phacoidin is a compound found in cosmetics and nutraceuticals and food additives. Our key metric in the business model is this Phacoidin revenue. This, you see on the right-hand side of the pie chart, that Phacoidin revenue alone covers direct costs. What this means is that the other co-product verticals are cream on top. This results in our high gross margins. There are other Phacoidin producers, though, but what we see, the majority of them use unscalable, unsustainable wild harvest and do not follow a biorefinery approach. The build of our biorefinery follows a strict roadmap, which requires investment. This investment includes reaching key milestones. For example, collaboration with a Portuguese laboratory, and also, especially in fact, increasing our market traction through 2024. For the rollout of our biorefinery, which we hope will contribute to a more sustainable future. Thank you very much.
We'll join to answer questions.
This is Loic. He's a Portuguese seaweed superstar.
Just extra support here.
Okay, I'll start. Thank you. Good job. You mentioned you're going to use innovative technologies or new technologies, but you didn't really explain what that is. Could you just tell us what kind of technologies are those and how ready they are? Because you spoke in the future. So.
Yeah. So I'll say something and then maybe Loic can join in. We are looking at technologies that we can extract different levels of value from the same seaweed biomass, multiple products. And focusing on Phacoidin as our optimized product, our lead product, we want to it's a very highly bioactive compound. So we are looking at high grade, highly bioactive. So it has to be a gentle, non-degrading process. So the technology enables bioseparation. I might let Loic take some more on the technology side.
At the moment, we are actually not disclosing the exact technology we are using because we really need to evaluate how we are going to patent it. But it's an innovative technology that especially focuses on processing everything cold. This way we can preserve a lot more of the components of the seaweed. In that way we are trying to apply a more cleaner, more healthy process so that we can have as much of the value of the seaweed, especially all the way through the biostimulant. So we want to retain all those fine components, all those smaller components that are actually and bring a lot of value. And we work, the way we work is we target the fucoidan and then we work around it and then we can deliver all the other streams for it. But it's mainly not using harsh solvents, so it's just water. We are not going to use any chemical solvents or anything like that, and because of this technology that helps us process.
Which is currently at TRL 4 and 5 after our pilot scales, which we are continuing through January, February next year.
Any other questions?
Hi, thank you. If you win, how do you think on spending the award? What do you want to focus more?
Good question. Would you like to?
You can start if you want, or
no, you go.
Yeah, fine. Well, as Jay mentioned before in the presentation, R&D collaborations are a very interesting case. Also, diversifying the seaweed source, because here in Portugal, different seaweeds can be grown compared to where we are at the moment based in Scotland, which is more focused on kelp and brown seaweed. Yeah, that's just a few ideas, but also I think in terms of IP and regulatory would be quite good. So certifying our products, all of that, because of this Blue Bio network and the awareness you have already here with some of the partners regarding how to promote those products and get them into the market as safe and as quick as possible. I think that would be a great advantage for us.
Yep. We would start with research collaborations and move from there. I think that would be the main answer, but in the future, also I wanted to add that after we roll out our first biorefinery, there'll be more biorefineries situated close to source, and so we're already investigating those locations.
Just following up, who's your ideal client? Who, if you had to name a segment and a big company or something that would be you love to partner, what would be?
Yep, that's good question. What we're going to do is focus on the fucoidan lead product, which we're optimized for, and we already have letters of intent. So we're initially looking at cosmetics companies, cosmetics brands and formulators to get that in the market and prove the benefits of the product on that world. But this is the short term, this is the lower hanging fruit. In the long term, it's all about working towards health claims, and these take time, they take research and development. So those health claims to get through the supplements and nutraceuticals, that's where the highest price point for fucoidan is, so that's where we're aiming. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, let's welcome James from Panacea, based in Panama.
Hello, everyone. My name is James, and I'm a co-founder of Panacea, where we grow sea cucumbers, and we process them into high-value products. We are the first sea cucumber hatchery at a commercial scale in all of the Americas, and we are the first hatchery to be working with the incredibly productive species called Holothuria mexicana. So here's the problem. Massive demand, primarily coming from China and Southeast Asia, has led to dangerous levels of overfishing of sea cucumbers in fisheries throughout the world. Now, I say dangerous levels because, as I assume many people in the room already know, sea cucumbers are a vital cornerstone to the health of nearshore ecosystems. So we need more of these guys in the water. So here's what we're doing right now about it. We are currently capable of producing about 2 million juvenile sea cucumbers every month, right here in our hatchery on the Caribbean coast of Panama, We believe we can get those numbers closer to about 10 million sea cucumbers a month by the third quarter of next year. So we're already doing it and it's growing. We're also in talks with a number of potential partners and governments throughout the Caribbean basin where we're looking to expand our production base. I want to highlight here the first important breakthrough that we've made. We have cracked the code on working with Holothuria mexicana, which is a species that we can spawn year-round and sometimes multiple times per month, and we're already achieving double-digit survival rates. So sea cucumbers on their own as a minimally processed food product are already very high value. They go for, our species goes for about $250 per dried kilogram. However, they also contain a number of very high value components that can be refined. However, you will notice that there's not many of these products currently available on the market, and the reason for that is the lack of raw supply and also inefficient refinement techniques. So, as I've told you, we are already creating our own supply, a great deal of our own supply. But we also have more efficient refinement techniques than previously thought possible. So we are tackling this supply issue on two fronts. We are creating our own supply to work from, and we are also getting more out of each individual sea cucumber than previously thought possible. So as you may be able to tell, Panacea is the synthesis of two mature and distinct teams that have come together to form something stronger. The team up top knows how to create millions of sea cucumbers and one day hundreds of millions of sea cucumbers if we continue to grow as we already are. And the team on the bottom there knows how to get more out of each individual sea cucumber. And underlying all of this is an abiding dedication to put more of these animals back into the water where they belong. We are here in Portugal now, hoping to find distribution partners and buyers for our components for the cosmetic market and for nutraceuticals. We are also hoping to find research partners and funding to help us take the very promising early medical studies and translate that into pharmaceutical products down the line. Thank you for your time. Look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're already producing the raw material better than anybody else, why do you want to worry about things like developing a pharmaceutical product? You know, isn't that spreading yourselves too thin and getting to things that might not be your?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. This has been, we have been very focused on making sure that we have the bottom line, and we know that we have as a fallback the ability to sell the minimally processed food stuff. It's a very comfortable position to be in. However, we have been thinking about these products for a while because that gap in value is pretty significant. We got a very friendly investor who came on and gave us enough money to feel comfortable wading into these new territories. Plus, that allowed us to bring on the other team, Pacific Bioculture, that was on the previous slide, that already comes with the knowledge of how to produce these products. So that is a knowledge base that has merged with us. We've been funded for it. And the other thing is that while it's very attractive to have the minimally processed food stuff, it takes about 18 months for grow out, which isn't bad for this type of business. But we can actually produce some of these byproducts with these techniques in as little as 3 to 6 months. So it cuts down that production time, which is too attractive for us to pass up. So we brought on the expertise to know how to do it and not be spread thin, got the funding for it, and it also turns out it could be a better and easier processing than previously for the, call it, simpler product.
So as far as I understood, you can grow the sea cucumbers in 3 to 6 months to produce what you want to for pharmaceutical industry.
Sorry, that was for the 3 to 6 month. That is for some of the cosmetic products and nutraceuticals, which also have a nice value to it. For the pharmaceutical industry, we believe we can get them from younger sea cucumbers than the full grow out as well. We think that that's the case, but we haven't really proceeded. We know how to extract it from adult sea cucumbers, but we aren't. We believe that we can get it from younger sea cucumbers, but we're not entirely certain yet. And that pharmaceutical research is still sort of down the road for us, and we may bring that up to the front if we can find the funding, just because it's so exciting. We're talking about the fight against cancer, so that might be something that we bring up a little bit closer to the front, but it is a more complicated process.
Okay, just 2 questions. How do you plan to scale worldwide, or if you don't plan to scale worldwide? And secondly, what makes you think that Portugal is the best place to deliver this type of product and to partner with the nutraceutical industry and so on?
So if we scale just within the Caribbean basin, we are talking about hundreds of millions, if not potentially billions, of sea cucumbers, because it's such a massive area and it's already been so overfished, and this is a great species to be working with. That's if we only ever focus on Holothurium mexicana. However, we believe that sea cucumbers in general, if we figure out how to breed them correctly, since we have, they have such a value and such a high margin that we think that it can unlock a lot of the more exciting plans for IMTA, for multi-trophic aquaculture. Because if you have this one species that has an 80% margin attached to it, a lot of the other lower margin species can use that same infrastructure and start to make them make more sense. And they work well with things like sea urchins, seaweeds, things along those lines. So we would like to expand that globally once we get to that point. So there are ideas for global expansion. For Portugal, yes, it's been clear to us that through our time here over the last week, that the network and the will and the funding behind sea-based solutions is really there. And if we're going to really try to understand something as much of a moonshot, I guess you could call it, not quite, but as creating an anti-cancer drug, we know that there is that type of a pipeline here where we can find the funding and the expertise and the help to get something like that created. Thank you, Joel.
Let's welcome on stage Emre from Tethys Biotech, based in Turkey.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emre. I'm a marine biologist, and I'm a co-founder of Tethys Biotech. And Tethys Biotech is an academic-based company which is producing the marine bioactive compounds from marine side stream by using the green technological methods. As we know that we have a problem in Mediterranean Sea, and abundance of the discarded catch species and invasive species threaten the ecosystem. And we don't have really simple regulation in order to fix this problem. So we are transforming the problem into the solution. We are producing the marine collagen, liquid marine collagen and powder for the B2B industry, especially for cosmetics and the food industry. And we have a new brand as a sea snack. It calls Sea Snacks, to marine collagen snacks for healthy conscious customers. Our vision is so clear. In Tethys Biotech, we are using just as a raw material, as a sustainable raw material from the marine ecosystem. And we are using the green technological methods, which means we are not using any additives, chemicals, or enzymes. And we know the market opportunity is really huge. We know that the cosmetic industry just valued at the billions. Food industry, likewise. And we know that also we are tapping into the emerging market like as pescatarian snacks with immense growth potential. So Tethys Biotech is clearly positioned for all three. And we have already the feedback from our satisfied customers from cosmetic and food industries. And they know that they validate the quality and the value of our sustainable marine collagen offering. We have the 2 different sales channels. One is the B2B for the cosmetic and food industries, and B2C for the marine collagen snacks. And we would like to expanding to make a cooperation with retailers who shares our visions. And our achieving goals is really simple. We have already significant milestones, and we just getting the completing the certification for the national sales, and we would like to through further to making international sales certification, and we would like to also the scaling up to our manufacturing places in order to obtain also the other marine bioactive compounds as well. And here is our team. It's a core team, and we have the exceptional team. Our expert brings a well of knowledge in biotechnology, sustainability, and business development. Additionally, we have also the roster of the industry advisors guiding our strategic growth. And we would like to expanding our partnership and the collaboration in Portugal in order to entering the EU markets by Blue BioValue. And we would like to invite you on this exciting journey in order to transforming the waste to taste. Thank you very much.
Can you say a bit about kind of the competitors and what's your special kind of unique value or contribution?
Actually, our competitors for the B2B model, the marine collagen producers, we can say, but they are using the conventional methods as well. So our optimized green technological methods is really advantage from them for now, we can say.
You mentioned two business models. Can you tell us what's the least risky one and the most profitable one out of the two?
For both of them. I mean, for the B2B model, actually, I was thinking too, we have the really pivot advantage because we are from the academia. So if we catch the opportunities to find a different type of the market for B2B in cosmetic and the food industries, we can definitely making a pivot as well. But for the snacks, I mean, the snacks is the price is the most disadvantage case in our model, because we would like to also decrease our snacks prices for manufacturing. So this is the main problem for the B2C model in order to move further for our marine collagen snacks.
So why don't you focus only in the most profitable and less risky one?
Because we would like to educate also the industries with our collagen. Because generally the people just knowing about the collagen from the codfish and the tuna fish. But now we are just starting to obtain marine collagen by using the sea bass, small shark species, and also the bycatch species as well. So we would like to show to the people how to use our marine collagen, and we would like to sell them as a liquid marine collagen.
Are we done? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Many impressive solutions, right? So now I'd like to welcome everyone for a short coffee break of 15 minutes before we listen to the next 9 pitches. Thank you. Hello everyone and welcome back. Now we'll have the environmental solutions category. I'd like to start Mafalda, welcome on stage, from Circular Ocean based in Portugal.
Did you know that producing 1 kilo of virgin plastic leads to almost 5 kilos of CO2 emissions? This means that your average chair releases over 10 kilos of CO2 emissions. What if I told you that you can make that same chair releasing only 1 kilo of CO2 emissions? Now, I'm not here to sell you plastic chairs, but I am here to tell you about the material that can go into making them. I'm Mafalda de Freitas, and I'm co-founder of Circular Ocean, where we are upcycling fishing nets to make a secondary raw material that can replace virgin plastic. In the port of Peniche alone, over 30,000 kilos of fishing nets, gill nets, are sent to landfill or incinerated every year. And just to put that into perspective for you, that is the equivalent of a Boeing 747 traveling around the world over 200 times. Now at Circular Ocean, we have a solution. Working together with coastal fishermen and the coastal community, we are increasing the value of these discarded nets by upcycling them into a new secondary raw material called pennilon that can replace virgin plastic. Now, what is pennilon? Derived from Peniche nylon, it comes in a variety of different forms, predominantly pellets compounded with either industry minerals or with oyster shells that can be used for 3D printing. But we have also made the first spools of yarn to explore the textile industry. And what's most exciting is that production using pennilon has shown to result in a reduction of CO2 emissions by 92% compared to using virgin plastic. Today, we have onboarded 2 customers in Scandinavia, one of which is 3D printing high-end premium furniture using only our material, and we are participating in international research studies to better improve our recipe. Now, when looking around to see what differentiates us from the others, on the left here you see us, and to the right 2 of our main competitors in Europe. Whilst the first uses the same type of plastic that we do, they don't make the same secondary products. The second competitor uses a different type of plastic, but makes the same secondary raw materials as us. Neither of these 2 competitors source their material locally, and so do not have the same social, local impact that we are able to have using our material. And there's a growing market for this even just within Europe, from aerospace to packaging and textiles. Our plan is to expand to the 7 largest ports in Portugal so that we can recycle all of Portugal's annual gill net consumption. In the next 5 years, we want to be recycling close to 50% of Portugal's annual fishing net consumption. And if this holds true and translates to sales, we will increase our operating profit close to 350,000 euros, which will allow us to expand and scale internationally. We have a dedicated team, a fantastic team dedicated to address this challenge, made up of marine scientists, ex-fishermen, and academic researchers. And we are looking for 100,000 euros to be able to upgrade our facility and expand nationally. But from the Blue Bio Value, we seek expertise in branding and telling our story so that we can properly enter the Portuguese market. I hope that in these last 3 minutes, I've been able to show you how our product is truly circular and can have drastic environmental and social impacts. Thank you.
Hi, Mafalda. Thank you so much. I have 2 questions. First, I know you didn't mention, but I want to know how developed it is, the inclusion of the oyster shells into the production of the product.
Yes, so we have created pellets compounded with oyster shells, and that is produced, and it successfully 3D prints. We just need to carry out a life cycle analysis on it to evaluate the full chain. So the 92% reduction, that's from industry mineral compounds, and now we want to make sure that the oyster shells has a similar reduction in CO2 emissions.
And thank you. And you don't know yet what is the impact at the end life of the products made with this PA6, or you do?
How do you mean the impact of
on the environment?
So it's using our material, it's a reduction in 92% of CO2 emissions. And then you have
are they like recyclable? Can they
yes,
be used
yeah.
again?
So we're carrying out tests with a research institute in Sweden to see the number of times that it can be recycled. So far, it has 2 recycle lives, and it's an ongoing study to see how many can go. But ideally, it's going to have numerous times.
2 questions. First, on the material itself, you mentioned some mechanical steps. Can you elaborate a bit on that and how much that is a bottleneck compared to the whole process? And also a bit more on the trademark as well. What have you protected and in which form?
Yeah, so it's a highly mechanical process, manual labor intensive, and that obviously ends up being the largest bottleneck in the development of the material, but also where we can have the largest social impact. We are collaborating with social rehabilitation centers to hire members for inclusive work opportunities. And so if we have large machineries, which we hope in the future, that will obviously reduce the social work that we're able to currently provide. But right now we collect the nets directly from the fishermen, we sort it out ourselves in our warehouse manually, and we shred the nets. So the first machinery comes in, the shredding of the nets, and then compounding as well. That's where the machinery aspect starts. In terms of protection, so we have a trade recipe like Coca-Cola. We're not going to patent our recipe because it just takes some trial and error for people to get there. But we have trademarked our recipe and our Penelon name.
Thank you, Mafalda. You mentioned that you were planning to expand to the other ports in Portugal for the collection of the raw material, correct?
Yeah.
In terms of market, what are your expectations in terms of future, and what would be your first goal on the market positioning?
So in terms of market, we are going for premium high-end customers that want to tell a story using their products because of the cost of our material. We unfortunately can't compete with large industrial recyclers, but we have a far more powerful story and can offer the full transparency of the supply chain from the individual fisherman through to the very end product. And so it makes our pellets more attractive for premium brands like Tom Ford's new Ocean Watch, for example. We want to expand collection nationally to all the ports, where each port can provide the material processing service, so that in Peniche we only do the compounding of the pellets to then distribute to national market ideally. We are in the process of doing that market analysis to see in Portugal. Unfortunately, at the moment there isn't that much awareness and purchasing power, whereas in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, there is a lot of interest for this type of material and stories.
So next we'll have Lawrence from Integracy based in Canada.
Good morning. My name is Lawrence Taylor. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Integracy. As a professional photographer and biologist, I've spent many hours studying marine animals and their behavior. And I've witnessed a huge impact. Oh, sorry. And I've witnessed the huge impact of our changing seas on our marine stocks and also aquaculture. It's no wonder then that aquaculture's biggest challenges are water quality and also a lack of biological production data. We heard this from many growers from across North America and also from here from companies like Oceano Fresco, Aqua Nostra, and Flat Atlantic. Our solution? Bivalves. Now why bivalves? In Poland, 8 million people rely on a handful of mussels for clean water supply. By attaching magnets to the animal's shells, the system can detect when they close their shells, which usually means there's an issue in the water. Water treatment plants have learned that the behavior of these animals better gives insights into water quality because they can sense so many factors all at the same time. We've taken it another step forward and introduced with our video expertise a vision component. This means we can compare our animals' behavior to what's going on around them at the same time. This can be things like light intensity, algal blooms, sea temperatures, and salinity. We have developed a system using artificial intelligence models to recognize open and closed animals in real time with the help of Deep Sense, Canadian AI tech funder. With our new prototype, we are now we are now ready to accelerate our tech so that we can address an array of data issues for our customers, such as Clean Valley, who is taking Ciencia's finfish wastewater and converting it into algae to then grow out oysters. With the $1 million funding from Canada's Ocean Supercluster, we will address water quality as well as enhancing algae and oyster production. A great milestone for us, Clean Valley will be our first customer through a licensing agreement. And over the next 18 months, our goal is to increase our customer base so we can make more installations to gather more data. This will mean growing our team. We're looking to raise $500,000 so that we can develop our team of engineers and AI staff so that we can build more units and increase our AI capacity. Bivalves, they have such a great potential to give us an insight into their environment and themselves and help sea growers grow sustainably. Thank you.
Now Mike will join to help answering the questions.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, where can you apply this technology? Because doesn't the nature has an impact on the performance of the bivalves depending on the location, like the water quality or other nature factors?
So our system was in the water for a year so that we could collect enough video to then go through the modeling to detect open and closed animals. So at first is to get a baseline once your animals go in. Often what happens is you select your animals, let them sit, and then put them in the system and see how they react. So we just continuously take data and look at how they're performing within their situation.
Okay, thank you. Sorry if I missed something, but how can the animals be used to distinguish things like different kinds of, water
issues?
Yes.
Yes.
As opposed to, is there an issue or is there not an issue?
Right. So we are still at the beginning stages of learning this language that they say. But so to give you two extreme cases, with if there was suddenly a warm water event, they would generally all close down very quickly and wait till the water changed. With harmful algal blooms, they do microclosures, and that's why we also have sensors on the mussel shells so we can detect minor movements of the shells when they go through something. So they will react differently to different stimuli.
All right, and how stable is the nature of the information? That is, I mean, for example, if an animal is genetically different from the next animal, won't it potentially react differently? Or if it grew up in a different environment, to which extent can you say that the signal X today is the same signal X tomorrow?
Well, and that's part of what we want to do in providing biological information. So Atlantic Aquafarms wants to selectively breed their animals to better react to coming sea conditions. So we'll look at that over time to see how they perform differently. For us right now is to get a baseline, see where we go from there, and then move forward. We've got a lot to learn still about the biology of these animals and how they react, and whether our motion sensor or our video is telling more information, and which,
Great, thanks.
Yep.
I was just going to expand a bit on how you're foreseeing the business model going forward as well. So will you be providing sensors to install in your clients? Are you selling information? How you're envisioning going forward? Yeah.
Do you want to tackle it?
Yes. I think right now we really like sort of the cell phone model. We can install, we can help people install. We don't necessarily have to install ourselves. We can teach them how to do that. But we want to get devices in the water as many places as we can and collect that data. We can do that remotely. We can analyze that remotely. On the business side of it, then we'll be looking at licensing for the access to the information and obviously some consulting that might go with that to help them sort of interpret and develop some of their own answers to problems that they might be having.
Yeah, I always say anybody can stick a GoPro in front of a mussel and start to look at it. Is what we're doing with the data that we're collecting, the video data and so on, is our analysis and insights of what it's telling us. Yeah.
I would like to go back on the issue on the genetic difference from animals from different points in the world. Do you have, because I'm assuming that depending on the characteristics of the water, they might have different responses to the stimuli. And have you tested, so have you collected information from animals in more than one location? Because that will give you additional data to strengthen your algorithm.
Yeah, so the plan is always to take local animals from the local environment and work with them. So we're not introducing any animals across the world. Then develop a baseline. So working with Ciencia, the great thing is we'll be in a controlled environment, and that's where we want to start first. So we understand these issues, and then moving to the open sea is really the next step for us. Yeah. Great.
The last startup on this category, I would like to call on stage Francisco from Easy Harvest based in Portugal.
Mike, can you hear me? Hi everyone. Today I'm here to talk about Easy Harvest and seaweed blooms. Growing up in Portugal, we would always be in Portuguese. We would all go to the beach. We would find seaweed everywhere. But I didn't know that by the time that I would be here today, I would be creating my own business with with the Portuguese resource. Did it change? Sorry. A couple of years ago, with the rise of anthropogenic pressure and with the rise of invasive seaweed species, situations like the ones we are showcasing here now in Portugal, in southern Spain and southern Europe have been rising, and globally. We call them seaweed blooms. Most of its biomass has been completely wasted and damages completely biodiversity, which has a huge impact on coastal communities, namely on locations dependent on tourism and fisheries. But what if we could use this resource and turn it into a valuable, raw material? We know that there's several types of seaweed, we can use farm and so on, but there's new emerging markets that will need more biomass to meet the new sustainable measures that we are aiming, at least in Europe, like the biomaterials, like we heard today. Thank you. Feed, of course, textiles, even textile dyes. However, the current production levels cannot meet the demand that is projected for 2030. Hence, we've created Easy Harvest, which has the aim to build a sustainable supply chain to mitigate the negative impacts of these seaweed blooms and create value from what was once before called waste. We are providing several activities from where we data mine, we monitor these blooms to understand where and why and where are they going, so that we can harvest them and later on have two different simultaneous revenue streams, which we call cleanup services, bioremediation for local governance, because they have a great deal of an impact with all these logistics, and raw material for the emerging sector. In terms of our roadmap, these ideas began post-COVID, but our proofs of concept went down in 2023 when we were the first company in Portugal obtaining a pioneer license to harvest and commercialize the invasive seaweed species that we have in the country, and probably we're also one of the few or the only one in Europe able to do so. We are looking now for a pre-seed round to scale up our harvesting facilities and commodities to reach some offset agreements, build a seaweed factory by 2025 to supply, and by 2026 use our data to build a global bloom predictor so that we can supply blooms everywhere globally. So if you want to build a sustainable supply chain and harness the power of the blooms, with Easy Harvest, nothing will be lost, nothing will be gained, but everything will be transformed. But nothing would also be possible without our team, which is me and my colleague Emilia, and without you. We need you to accomplish this kind of mission, otherwise the impact will be just too great of a deal. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Francisco. I have one practical question. You mentioned that you were actually the first company to have to be recognized as being able to collect the seaweed in the shores. So, or anyone can collect it.
No, what I think I said was...
Sorry.
That's okay. This specific species that you're seeing in the build is called Rugolopteryx. It's one of the major invasive species in Southern Europe. And we are the first company being able to commercialize and harvest. So we have a deal with our government, and we are playing a back-to-back with them so that we can fund.
Okay, so it's possible that more companies are going to rely on the same source. So how can you, even though you are trying to predict the blooms to get raw materials, have a model that can help you to get the source of your material? If more companies join in, how are you going to get the source for your product?
Well, this brings us back to our monitoring. Our monitoring is a data mining system where we record presence, absence, where the seaweed are and why. Using this type of system, we can create later on a software which is projected from 26 onwards, after we get enough revenues from the market that is now demanding for biomass, so that we can target all the seaweed blooms. As you know, the case of the sargassum problem is too big for the current solutions that exist. It is exactly the same problem that we have today in Portugal. And I take this opportunity to raise this same question. And I think it's about values. We are associating our company to companies and partners from which they are here today as well, that have really concrete values on what is sustainability and with what they want to associate with. And that's exactly perhaps what will distinguish us from others. This biomass is much more resourceful than just doing one line of extraction. We want to help foster these biorefinery concepts, and we want to help build the supply chains for which they have tremendous problems to build. So this is our focus. It's in there.
Thank you, Francisco. A couple of questions. Yes. So the monitoring of blooms or prediction of blooms is not a revenue source. It won't be a revenue source of revenues for you besides the two other sources of revenues.
Is it a question?
That's a question,
yes. Well, today we did find some companies interested in using this monitoring, this vertical, let's call it like that if you want, or revenue stream. Yeah. So it potentially can turn into that. So the scalability of this software can literally go global as there's seaweed blooms impacting.
Of course, by doing that, by turning that into a source of revenues, you may be helping your competitors because you'll be telling your competitors when the blooms will appear, right?
Potentially.
Right.
Yes.
Then another question. Can you tell us more about what it takes? I mean, what's the upstream effort of harvesting all seaweeds throughout the country or the world or the continent? What human, financial, logistic, bureaucratic effort lies behind that?
Well, today I can say that at least in Portugal, the governance that we are working with, DGRM, they are really supporting our cause. So they're helping these gray areas with new emerging technology sectors. They want to see what is possible. So we all started with an environmental impact study, done with partnership with the University of the Algarve and then with them to figure this part out. But I'm sorry, I just got lost from your question.
My question is, what kind of effort, not just bureaucratic,
the logistical part,
logistic, human, financial? It sounds like a big effort, right, to go around the world or the country harvesting.
We're using
seaweed.
upstream technologies, namely seaweed pumps, different types of technologies that are currently being deployed and used across the world. They are already here. We're testing them, using them today in the Algarve to harvest so, and we can couple with the fishing community. We're trying to develop some type of IP model, some type of model that couples with the fishermen boats, for example, and we can help like that to increase our carrying capacity, harvesting capacities, and so on. It's a matter more of seaweed logistics, and I believe that it's about networking. But yeah, thank you.
So lastly, we'll have the food and feed category. I would like to call on stage Remy from Aquanzo, based in the United Kingdom.
Hi, I am Remy, co-founder and CEO of Aquanzo, and we farm marine ingredients. So when I was 7 years old, I decided I wanted to work with fish, and I've been able to do that my entire career for now. And through 20 years in different universities as well as institutes, I learned that aquaculture is fundamental to feed the planet. The problem that we have is that aquaculture is still fundamentally dependent on fisheries. And in the next 15 years, the amount of fish meal, so the 20%, sorry, let me start again. 20% of all the 20% of all the fish that are harvested from the ocean do not go to human consumption. They go to make marine ingredient, an essential ingredient for the aquaculture industry. And the problem is that in the next 40 years, we will have to double the amount of marine ingredients that are available to support the sustainable development of aquaculture. Now, there's just simply not enough fish left in the sea to support that. And this is where Aquanzo is coming in. We are pioneering the transition of marine ingredient from harvesting to farming. If we can farm marine ingredient, we are not limited by the carrying capacity of the ocean, and we can produce locally when needed, where needed. We have identified a small marine zooplankton, Artemia, closely related to krill, as fundamental for this transition. And so, basically, to summarize, we're developing technologies to grow tiny shrimp in really big tanks on land at scale using agricultural byproducts to support the sustainable development of aquaculture without harming the sea. This is a win for the fish. We are making ingredients that are going to taste better. This is an advantage over other alternative ingredients. It is a win for the farmer. Better tasting food means higher performances in the fish and less waste. And it's a win for the environment because we're using agricultural byproduct and reducing pressure on the sea. We have an amazing team surrounding us, ranging from genetics to feedstock, as well as engineering. We have been able to produce several kilos of marine ingredients in Artemia meal that we have tested in fish, and we're in the process of scaling up to a mobile unit system and then to the first pilot scale facility. We have amazing partners also around us. We have raised over €1 million of equity as well as grants. We are basically going to be raising our next round in 2024. And we are looking at the Portuguese ecosystem to move towards the first pilot scale facility producing marine ingredients. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, thank you. I have a question. To feed the Artemia, are you using just agriculture byproducts or also including some of marine byproducts?
So right now, we have started with entirely terrestrial, cereal-based agricultural byproduct. So rice bran is our kind of standard, which is extremely cheap and extremely available. But we have also looked at local, so we're in Scotland. We obviously dealt with for example, distillery byproduct, the yeast, which is here. There's also breweries, and we've had very great success in production, and we're investigating a very wide range. Those organisms are filter feeders, and whatever you put in the water, they will eat. They might not grow, but we have found some that do not work.
Two questions. First, on the nutritional profile of Artemia versus the krill, for example, as you've shown the example. Can you elaborate a bit on that? And also regarding fish preference for that source, is there any indicative of any bottleneck there?
Yeah, so first, a nutritional profile, we see actually being able to tailor the nutritional profile of our end product as an advantage. So obviously, if we feed them cereal byproducts, there will not be omega-3. However, we have tested some feedstock which do give them omega-3 and not the one you might think of. So we have the potential to actually tailor marine ingredient. Currently, you get what you get from the sea. Sorry, the second question.
So meal preference. So
yes. So right now, actually, as of yesterday, our Artemia meal arrived in Portugal, and we are about to formulate diet and test it in larval sea bream and evaluate this gain in performances and preference. We have done a test, 2 preliminary tests where the fish liked it, and there was actually positive gain in survival as well as in growth.
I can continue.
Thank you. One of the issues of the sector is the huge demand. For you to be able to be a really good supplier of the fish feed producers, you have to be a huge producer as well. How do you plan to reach that point?
So ideally, we get to a point where we can actually supply. We will not replace fish meal. If it's harvested sustainably, it is a great way to get marine ingredients. We all have a role to play, and we want to be able to increase the availability of marine ingredient. Currently, it is completely limited. By farming it, we have the possibility to increase. So we are ideally going to move to industrial scales type of farming systems. However, this will come in the medium term. We're starting with low volume, high margin, like baby fish diets, obviously, which are the most important to set the life, starting with shrimp in Europe, as well as sea bass and sea bream and seriola, like the novel species in aquaculture. And then we're going to move to other type of diets.
So next we'll have Matteo from Alga Flag based in Italy.
Hi to everyone, I'm Matteo, co-founder and CEO of Alga Flag, where we are making microalgae and their nutrients abundantly available. I come from the oil and gas sector, where we spent crazy amount of money trying to grow microalgae for energy and biofuels. But in Alga Flag, we believe that microalgae are better suited for other applications like food and its ever-increasing demand. But at the moment, microalgae production is difficult to grow because they're grown in systems like that, fermenters and photobioreactors, which are super expensive and require specialized operator. Our technology is different. Our patent-pending photobioreactor, we called it Flag PBR, is made by inexpensive materials and has low capex, and runs with just sunlight and a few nutrients. By using it, we can grow microalgae at sea at a never-seen-before scale and at low cost. This allows us to address 3 markets. The largest one is the additives for animal feed and human food, which by microalgae biomass can be used as a drop-in ingredient, and the other 2, fish oil and specialty chemicals, where a little bit of downstream processing is required. But we need, if we focus on the animal feed, just on the animal feed, By adding our microalgae biomass to fish and hens feed, we can have healthy animals and, for example, even healthier eggs. And if we address the top range of this sector, we can obtain more than 300 million just in Europe. But we need to prove it before. So we are starting with a 2 hectares demo plant at sea that will generate revenues and will validate our technology. Then we will expand our cultivated area by 25 times initially, and then 2 times each year. And as soon as 2027, we will have enough biomass to process in our refining facility. We know that this timeline in this roadmap is quite tough, but we have a great team with a diverse background, spanning from engineering to legal, and also with a great knowledge of microalgae, thanks also to our great scientific advisors. We are then going to raise 1.2 million euros in order to start the first demo plant at sea. And this will be installed, hopefully, in the Mediterranean Sea or in the south of Portugal. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that you are a little bit more curious about microalgae than before. Thank you.
Okay, I can start. How do you plan to convince the stakeholders to use the land, the area, the maritime area that you need? Because as far as I understood, you're going to be based in ports, right?
No, it cannot be based in port. This is just a render. We hope to install the system in open sea. So where the waves are high enough, but not too high. And you can put it, for example, on top or on side to actual fish farms or clams farms or other bivalves areas. So we can rely also on an existing network of companies which are already using similar set of skills.
Can you give me a number of production by area of your?
Yes, it will be in the order of the tens of tons per hectare per year.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Did you do any tests to check if this has any impact on the ocean ecosystems?
Well, we are using only locally sourced microalgae strains. So in the case of a rupture of a single module, since it's a modular system, it's very difficult to break every module. There will be thousands in a plant. So if one or a few break, there will be just a release of seawater, a few nutrients which are already present in the water, and locally sourced strains.
But precisely on this example, you mentioned that you could be coupling this with other productions already.
Yes.
So the amount of algae that you're going to be producing per square meter should be much higher than would already exist.
Yes.
Could this affect the productions of
bivalves in the case? Yeah. No, it doesn't affect them. Since bivalves are growing on the bottom of the sea usually, and we are just harvesting the first 8 to 10 centimeters of sunlight. We are not blocking, we're not shading the bottom of the sea. Thank you.
Can you just elaborate a bit more on the photobioreactor itself? And because you mentioned quite a lot the difference in terms of capex investment from the other solutions.
Yes.
So what are we talking about in terms of scale here?
Sure. Just for giving you an example of scalability, we had a talk with a possible supplier of the photobioreactor itself, and he told us that he can produce the amount needed for 1 hectare without a blink of an eye in less than half an hour, compared to the current production of its company. So it's not a problem to scale up the production of the photobioreactor. Thank you.
So now let's welcome on stage Paul from Blue Planet Ecosystems based in Austria.
Yes, hello, my name is Paul. I'm CEO and co-founder of Blue Planet Ecosystems, and we turn sunlight into seafood. You all know the state of the seafood supply chain and the pressure it is under. Climate change, overfishing, supply chain disruptions. But what about the demand side? We know that the demand for protein, especially animal protein, is about to double in the next 30 to 40 years. So while the supply side of the equation stays stable at best, the demand side is gonna double. Now, how do large food industries, large retailers deal with this issue when they're faced with securing their supply chains in global competition? The answer is by vertically integrating their supply chains and by nearshoring their food supply chain. And that's exactly where we help as system providers by providing hardware, software as a service, and biology as a service. We at Blue Planet Ecosystems allow our customers to produce premium organic seafood close to the consumer on any piece of land, and what's very, very important and often overlooked, on any scale. More concretely, we sell so-called land-based aquaculture systems, RAS systems, where we in essence replicate exactly the processes that we also find in the ocean. How does this work? In the first stage, we grow microalgae using carbon dioxide and sunlight as primary energy source. We feed this microalgae to zooplankton, and this zooplankton is in turn the natural feed source for fish and for shrimp. We already heard it from Remy today. It's replacing the most important and the most expensive part of the fish feed, and that's fish meal and fish oil. We are already deployed like the first units in Austria. We just closed a joint venture agreement with a Korean company. The Koreans are, I think, the first or the second biggest seafood market in the world, competing closely with Portugal. I'm not sure who is the runner-up, but we also are quite active in the Middle Eastern region. We are currently raising a pre-series seed round of 5 million euros. We are in the lucky situation that this investment will be matched by the European Investment Bank, and I also want to take the last 7 seconds of my presentation to thank you guys from BBB for organizing this event, and thanks for the invitation.
Or 5 million or more? It's matched with another 5 million?
Yes, exactly. So it's and then another 2.5 as a grant. So it's quite a big round. I think we already talked a lot about scalability. Like what's always overlooked is, especially when you're in the food business, like how do you produce the quantities necessary that it's attractive for retail or food processors? So you already saw like the one unit that we have. Right now we're producing one of those a week. In 2 years' time, we want to be able to produce and deploy one of them a day.
And that's what you're going to do?
Yes.
And how long is it going to take?
2 years, and
2 years.
18 months is the delivery time for the machine equipment that we need.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the issues with the RAS technology is about the price.
Yeah.
It's super expensive, super also difficult to deal with, very highly qualified people to manage it. Usually we can use it if we have enough scale to produce very also valuable types of species. In this case, it looks to me like you're selling small containers for customers to produce their own species, right? Is it correct?
Yes. So I think the main issue, what you're pointing towards, is economies of scale.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the recirculating aquaculture technology providers, they're basically building these systems like we built computers in the 70s. It's a fairly labor-intensive, fairly case-by-case sort of situation, and we want to build these systems like the automotive industry is producing cars. And just to give you like a metric, our target production price is about 2 times raw material. So if you say, well, this unit has about 400 kilograms of plastic and 200 kilograms of aluminium, the target production price can only be 2 times the raw material value. And this brings the cost down quite a lot. Maybe the second part of your question, we don't aim to sell like one container here and one container there. It's about deploying like very, very large farms. And then the third part of your question is, the biggest issue of aquaculture right now is, besides cost, is HR, like who is running these systems. And here we have quite a big and comprehensive suite of IoT and AI systems that basically takes care of the grow out of 99% of that.
Can you explain to me what is the biology as a service that you are offering?
Yeah, sure. So we basically monitor the biological behavior of the systems automatically. We provide our customers with the supplementary feed that they need. We also provide them with the biological material, so to speak, that they need. So it's really like a plug and play system. Think about iPhone for fish farming, if that makes sense.
Just follow up on that from the side of potential interference in the system, so microbiological contaminations, all that. How are you bringing that side to the equation?
Yeah, so microbiological, I'm just sticking to the fish part. There's like zooplankton and algae there as well. But for example, we use computer vision to track breathing rates or like feeding responses. And these biological indicators work very, very well when dealing with contaminations, and we already have the data and like the use cases to show that.
So now we'll have Tiago from Bake My Dog Happy, based in Portugal.
I'm here to tell you how can you make dogs happier using only fish byproducts. I'm a father of 3 and I know it's quite difficult to have natural, healthy and sustainable snacks. Also, and I'm speaking as a marine biologist, I do know that fish industries in Portugal produces per year around 500 tons of waste of fish byproducts that is not being used. And it's a shame because, as nature says, if we want to avoid biodiversity declination, we need to have a more sustainable approach on the industry and on the products. And it's also funny, and now I'm speaking as a scientist, because the fish waste that it's not being used, something as, for example, viscerals, heads, and whatsoever, it hides a huge potential regarding to micronutrients and also bioactive compounds to take care of your pet's health. For that, I decided to create a healthy, natural, tasty, and sustainable sea snack to make your pets happier. We mainly go to the fish industries, collect the waste, then we produce the snack at our own facilities, and then we sell the snacks online. At the moment, we already have 3 products on the market, and you can have them online. And we have the fish heads dehydrated, a dough for you to bake the cookies at your own home, and a chocolate made only from the viscerals. The market itself, it's a hyper-growing market, and actually it is estimated that by the end of the 2027, it will reach 40 billion, with the biggest share going for food and supplements. Different from the market, we have the know-how, we produce our own snacks, and we work on a circular economy approach and sustainable. The team, it's me and Luisa, both scientific researchers, and we work with biotechnology and bioeconomy for more than a decade. We work online, as I told you, as an e-commerce, and the funny thing is that so far, ourselves at part-time, on the last 8 months, we were able to raise 10K in sales and save 1 ton, which shows us that this product is actually scalable, and also that people commit to our mission because they know that each packaging saves 500 grams of waste, and also it's healthier than whatever is on the market. Now we want to go for bigger numbers, we want to go for bigger partners, and actually from this program of acceleration, we have already went in contact with 2 of them, and next week we will be receiving from Omnifish some new products, and we also have another ones to come. But don't forget that we are scientists, so we want to create new high-valued products and to use all of the potential of that waste. And for that, we aim to use the price of this program of deceleration to take care of, to go, for example, for other buildings and try to see how our proctor behave regarding to tests, optimize, and also for fundraising, because as scientists, we don't know much about it. We require 1 million investment to build our own infrastructures, to go global, and to hire some talent. Every single day, we make dogs happy, and I hope I made you happy too. Thank you.
Luisa will join to help answering questions.
So I'll start, thank you very much. I'll start with a couple. You said, I think, 3 times we are scientists. Are you going to continue to be scientists?
At the moment, the main thing is to do the research. But if the brand goes as it's go, I think I will leave silence besides, and I will just be coordinating some programs because I want to be full on bake my dog happy
You
without
said
doing the research.
If the brand goes as it goes, I could argue if I wanted that would be a catch-22, right? Because perhaps for the brand to go as you wish it to go, you may not want to be, at least not to present yourselves as scientists. That's just an opinion. But a more specific question about your product choices. Of course, I'm a layperson here, but one product are fish heads. Doesn't that create a potential, problem? Will people actually like to be looking at fish heads every morning and giving to their pets? And then another product is something you need to bake at home. Does that work in the market? Do people want to spend time baking for their pets?
Yeah, actually, since we started actually with the baking part because to see if people can connect with their pets to bring joy, and it's really interesting because on our social media, all the content it's mainly did by the customers themselves. As for the hats, lots of people prefer, first of all, being sustainable. It's something that people usually do by themselves. So now it's an approach that they can have for dogs. And usually we play saying that the fish heads themselves, it's like popcorns or something like that. And people love because they're really crunchy. So we have a lot of videos and photos because actually customers think it's funny, it's different. And I think that because we are in a B2C, they completely understand the value of the proposition we have.
Like to expand because we're talking about customers, but what about the real customers, the dogs and their preferences, how it is compared to the other feeds? And also another question is regarding bottlenecks on the process so far. Is it really raw material?
Well, for the first question, sorry, can you repeat again? Sorry.
So regarding the real customers, the
real
ones that we want to make happy, what are their preferences? How are they feeling the product? What's the
thing is that the sardine head itself has a really huge smell, and especially cats and dogs, they tend to eat something when it smells really strongly. So it's something that it will make them curious about, so it's working really good. And then because it's crunchy, because it's different, for sure they will go for it, and we have a couple of proven. And the other question was?
The bottleneck in terms of its raw material, the fish heads. So that's to scale, that's where you need more partnerships, like you were saying. That feed you material.
Yes, the raw material, it's almost never ends because we have tons and tons and tons of raw material. And actually we can use these fish heads, but we can use everything, since the scales, the viscera, everything. So the raw material will not be a problem. Relating to the pets, dogs are very easy to buy. They eat everything. The cats are the difficult ones. Okay, I have 8 cats, so I usually take home and try with my cats. And if it's approved, I will go for that. For cats, we have the chocolate, which is sardine pressed, and Salt has a chocolate bar, and that product is preferred by the cats because it's easier them to taste. I have a cat that eats everything, but of course they are a more refined customers.
I'll just, I don't know if anyone, I'll just carry on. So you did the brave thing, which is go to B2C and sell, create your brand, everything, and praise you for that. What about the B2B? Are you exploring the partnerships? Are you trying to...
At the moment, we are in a B2C because we felt that we need to build the community first because people are not used to give that kind of waste. And also, as you said, it could be a little bit graphic to have a fish head. So we first went for a B2C because we also want them to people to relate on us and to see how transparent the brand is and to talk about science. And it's really interesting because people actually, when they share something, they share about the benefits and all of those things. So it has a little bit of an education part on it. But for B2B, we want to go specially to go aboard because it's easy to do B2B aboard than a B2C. In Portugal, the B2C will be more for target market, for example, for Sleiro, for some specific vet places. So we want to go tame our product all around. Thank you.
And now let's welcome Sally from Marinas Bio, based in the United States of America.
I'll start over here. Hello, I'm Sally Davis. I'm a co-founder and the Chief Scientific Officer at Marinas Bio. Have you ever wondered where caviar came from? Caviar hails from the Caspian Sea traditionally, where its collection is now banned on account of the state of the fishery. Even if you were to get a hold of some of this illegal caviar, you'd be concerned about food safety. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, no. In aquaculture, it takes up to a decade to grow a female to maturity, such that she can be slaughtered for her caviar. These slaughters and harvests tend to be annually, and the quality can be highly variable, such that sometimes it's not even put on the market. Even worse, shelf life can be as short as 2 months. All of these supply limitations are driving a vibrant black market, and 24 out of 27 species of sturgeon are either extinct, are either endangered or threatened. What if we could make caviar outside the animal? We wouldn't have to sacrifice the individuals. We could cut down on the food waste. Cleaning in a very clean environment, we could actually have a longer shelf life, and we could break that seasonal curse in terms of its availability if we could shrink the time from years to months. So let's move from could to can. This is not working. All right. At Marinas Bio, we're going to create caviar outside of the fish. We take sturgeon and we collect eggs from them. We do this with animals whose health has been certified, and then we ensure that as we optimize and characterize our cells, that we are growing them up appropriately to avoid downstream bottlenecks in production, as well as ease our regulatory approval. It'll be critical that our caviar tastes great. As such, we plan to match the nutrient profile of current conventional caviar, which is in its own a superfood. Our first clients will be chefs and premium food services. Currently, the seafood market is $600 billion. Within that, you have a $2.4 billion caviar and roe market. That's the legal market. On top of that, we're in a space, the cellular agriculture space, where things are too expensive to make still. It's $500 per kilogram to grow food, whether it's meat or seafood, in a bioreactor. It's also only approved in 2 places on Earth right now, the US and Singapore. In contrast, though, caviar sells at $2,000 per kilogram. Therein lies an opportunity. Our team has the science and commercial experience to make this a reality. I'm a veterinarian scientist with an aquatic focus with 20 years of experience in biomedical research. I'm surrounded by a team that has the seafood industry, cell-cultivated regulatory approval, as well as scientific experience to make this a reality. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much. So isn't there a danger that caviar will lose its charm? I mean, people who buy caviar, aren't they buying because it's rare? And isn't it like producing wine out of something that's not grapes?
No, it's an excellent question, and it's something we're exploring through customer discovery right now. We've been at culinary schools and also working with the University of Chicago to meet with chefs and interview them and talk about how it's normally sourced right now, who are the customers, what could be the potential customers. We have a section of the population in the United States that deliberately doesn't eat caviar right now because of the ethics and other concerns around how it's sourced, yet they would be very interested in a premium seafood sourced superfood. There is also the opportunity to find backing through culinary schools and explore this further, and to partner with the extant aquaculture industry, because part of what's at the ethos of how caviar is selected and how it's currently sampled globally is this concept of tasting and pairing with wines. There's actually a fairly rich plant-based caviar market out there already, particularly in Asia, but they're usually used for complementary color, accents, and other aspects of dishes because they just don't have the taste. And they don't come anywhere near the taste of the real caviar.
Thanks.
Yeah.
More questions?
I'm just curious about that. I think we're here in a premium market discussing this, but what's the current price point of producing this way versus how it is to nowadays, a can in the market? And how do you plan when you're scaling and optimizing everything? Where do you want to be?
Right. So currently, all in, if you were to consider all the production costs as well as the distribution, and there is only a very little limited distribution of cell-based meat at this point, chicken, it's about $500 per kilogram. There are a number of estimates out there in the sort of space of the competitors in that current market that say that it can come down to about $50 per kilogram in the next few years. Unfortunately, most of the products that are coming into that market are at these sort of chicken nugget, fish burger, hamburger sort of stage. And it's hard to imagine paying that much for something along those lines. So there's been a shift recently in this cell-cultivated space to premium products. And with that, there's a shift in complexity. But ours are actually individual cells. And so there's less complexity to them in some ways than, say, a cut of steak, which would have various types of cells, as well as a lot of matrix to actually make something resembling a steak and tasting that way. Yeah.
Hi, thank you, Sally. Sorry if I didn't get it, but when do you predict to have a product to try?
Right. So we're on a sort of 4 or 5 year time scale here. We're in the first year. We have cell lines active. In about 18 months to 2 years, we'll be planning tastings. And then from there, we will scale in terms of the finished product. And we already have some partners that are working with us. We have a letter of intent from a seafood distributor. We have this connection with the Culinary Institute where they're going to work with us on a tasting approach, and also some of the caviar producers in the area where we are.
So nothing for lunch today?
Nothing for lunch today. I apologize. Yeah.
So you will be needing to control the conditions for the taste and time of growth. Mm-hmm. Will that affect on the nutritional content of the final product?
Yeah, so that's a wonderful question, and it hits on a couple things. One is, first of all, is that nutritional content known? And there are publications in the literature where we do know the lipid and protein profiles of a number of the caviar produced by various sturgeon. The second one would be, how do we actually reproduce that? So we have a different situation. We have cells in media, in bioreactors. So what we put in the media, in the end game, is what we're offering to our cells to take up. And they have their own mechanisms for bringing in various proteins or lipids. So through that process, we can match those. And so it'll be down to supply chain and sourcing and appropriate matching as to regards how we do that. Mm-hmm.
So lastly, we'll have Sarah from Mari Health, based in South Africa.
Hi everyone, we are a biotech company from Cape Town, South Africa, and we are looking to transform aquaculture health management. So, imagine that you are a Formula One team and you want to know how well your car is performing. You could just look at its speed, but that's not going to tell you the whole story. A better way would be to look at the data that the car's sensors collect in order to monitor the car's performance. These sensors collect information on things like how hot the engine is getting, how much fuel the car is consuming, as well as how much stress the car is under. This can then be used by the team to make various adjustments to improve the car's performance. So in aquaculture, the same applies when understanding the health of your fish. By nature, commercial farming practices are intensive, leading to an increase in animal stress as well as a higher likelihood of disease outbreaks, which accounts for up to 80% of losses on commercial farms. However, health management practices are reactive, treating diseases only after they occur, making this a $6 billion problem globally. So our mission is really simple. We want to shift from reactive to proactive stress management to enable farming optimization. And we are doing this through a molecular screening platform. So, like your Formula One car sensors, protein biomarkers work in a similar way. They are produced in the body in response to stress or disease, and so by measuring levels of protein biomarkers in fish blood or tissue, we can get an early warning of problems before they become serious. So Mari Health Solutions is like your Formula One team, and protein biomarkers are like the car sensors. So we operate as a B2B, and our service is fairly simple. We engage directly with clients to understand their specific needs. Blood samples are then sent to us and processed on a high-throughput instrument, followed by data interpretation and reporting. So for example, in this case study, we found that the large fish had stopped growing, suggesting that they could have been harvested 3 months sooner, as indicated, oh, you can't really see, sorry, as indicated by the scratched out section on the graph, therefore reducing feed waste and cost. So through our unique blend of proteomics and aquaculture expertise, we can actually provide more granular insights into animal health, as well as decision support for refining farming operations, as well as nutrition. So we are looking to enter the Norwegian and Portuguese markets, and our customer segments fall within those three subsectors of the aquaculture industry. We are looking to capture around 0.5% of each market within the next 3 to 5 years. So a highlight of our year this year was signing our first 2 clients. And so with scaling, we are looking to develop a digital health dashboard as well as on-farm testing kits. So we are a team with the right blend of expertise to deliver premium service to our clients. To enable our expansion to the EU, we are looking to raise a Series A round of 3.5 million euros, which will enable the digitization and internationalization of our offering. And then through the BBV organization, as well as the Blue Demo Network, we are looking for market entry as well as soft landing support. So we are Mari Health Solutions, and we have a vision to revolutionize fish health and welfare management using proteomics. Join us in making aquaculture more resilient, profitable, and sustainable. Thank you.
Anybody want to start?
Thank you. Thank you for your pitch. Question. So you predict the possibility of diseases to happen in a farm, right? And you can. Is it a tailor-made type of product? So you firstly try to understand what your customer is doing, and then you evaluate it, and then you define a specific sampling protocol, and you get samples and you evaluate. Is it
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so what we found is that with our various clients, they've all got very specific needs. I mean, as you would know yourself, you have different issues that you're experiencing on a farm or in your operations. And so we found that having more of a customized approach and engaging with them, we get to really understand what it is that they are struggling with, and so we can actually properly tailor our offering to them. It also helps us when we have to do the data analysis and then obviously interpreting it for the client, because obviously we want to contextualize those big data sets for them.
Okay, one question, very simple. How do I evaluate, if I'm a customer, if it's working or not? If the success of the application of your product?
Okay, so in normal circumstances, we would be obviously having a control group, and then you would have your experimental group to test whatever various scenarios you have. Establishing a control obviously is that baseline that you have. To know that our solution is working is essentially what I think I had a brain fart now. Basically, for you to understand how it's working is you'll see it through understanding how the molecules are working or are being produced under various conditions. And so we provide that interpretation for you. The way you would take that information and use it, alongside our recommendations with our vet that we have as a partner, is to either implement the various changes that we suggest or not. Yeah.
So what I understood was not that you predicted, but that you functioned as an early warner.
Yes,
early
exactly.
Warning, right?
Yeah, I wanted to cut you off, but I didn't do that. I'm so sorry.
No, but so I have no problem believing that proteomics will give us a finer analysis of what's happening in the fish. But early warning is not just about that. It has to be about how often you're looking and
yeah, exactly.
at what points you're looking at and so on. So how does your solution actually make it an earlier warning?
Yeah. So in terms of using proteomics, obviously, as you say, it needs to be rapid so that you can be doing it regularly, etc. So after a lot of engagement with the industry and seeing what other sort of tests are out there, it makes a lot more sense for us to position ourselves as decision support as opposed to, rapid response. So we are more on the sort of proactive side as opposed to diagnosing and quickly remediating.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Can you elaborate a bit more on the use cases that you already worked?
Yeah, so that was the one example. Another example would be with working with a feed company. So we have found that a lot of feed companies are always, reiterating their ingredients and their formulations. And so as feed company A could say, well, these additions to the formulation is supposedly an immunostimulant. I mean, you as a client who's buying that don't really know. So we have found a lot of the fish farms who are considering purchasing those new feeds, they actually want to test it out before they commit to purchasing. So we provide that sort of granularity to actually determine, is that particular feed additive having that immune effect?
That brings me to additional questions. One, wouldn't that be nicer in the B2B model to be providing that to who's making the claims,
yes.
number one?
Yes.
And second, just for me to understand better, what's the time from your coming in to results, actionable results? What's that time frame?
Okay, cool. So the first one, yes, it's much better B2B. Go directly to the feed companies and engage with them. And then in terms of the time frame, so current laboratories across Europe, and I suppose even South Africa, can take anything between 6 to 8 weeks to about 3 months before data is returned. We are looking to have that turnaround time reduced by 2/3, so about a month at most. Yeah.
So we have now heard the solutions of the 18 startups. The jury will now deliberate, and the audience at home will learn later today who the 10 startups selected will be through Blue Bio Value social media. So now we'll leave the jury to deliberation. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck to all the startups.
Portugal has a rapidly evolving biotech ecosystem. All the biotechnology areas are evolving, especially opportunities on the blue biotechnology space, where we're taking advantage of the large continental shelf we have at our disposal.
In Portugal, we have a huge potential because we have reference research centers in this area of the blue biotechnology.
Portugal has a huge tradition related with the ocean, and more we are giving science to this relation.